Okay, we're going to call this one the morning routine for the 1380S. Okay, so the first thing I do is I connect my film so that that's all connected and ready to go. Okay, so we want to run this roll to the front and connect it. So the first thing we're going to do is just kind of unravel it twice like that. Then hold on to this. Hold on to that, bring it down, and you'll see a bar under there. So bring it down and underneath that bar and around to the other side of it. So it's coming down, down, around the other side of it. And then you're gonna bring it up the back side behind this bar here, or behind your fans, okay? And then you're gonna feed it through and inside. So I'm going to show you that now. Okay, so once you have it fed under that bar, you're going to feed it up the back side in front of this, and then you can open this and now as you pull, this will move. So just pull it up nice and slow. Like that. And then we close this carefully. Do not let go of it. You will bang, drop it, and potentially break a bulb. Lift up on this. And then we'll go and carry on and connect it to the front. Okay, so once we have it coming through here, just get a good hold of it. There's a piece here that comes down that your powder falls onto. And what you want to do is get that underneath it and then through here. So it's going underneath, and you can reach in with your hand here. Make sure you have a good shot of that. So you're coming under this here, underneath it. So it'll look like this, underneath it, and then you just grab it from the other side. So once I have it up and underneath, I can reach under here and actually get a hold of it. And you may have to pull a bit more film through from the back, so it's rolling out from the roller as we pull. So as I'm pulling, the roller at the back is feeding. So I'm just pulling it nice and slow. Pull it up, and we're pulling this up to the printer, to the film on the printer. Okay, so now we've got the film pulled through. Just pull through enough. You could pull up a little extra here. What we're doing is we're coming right to our film, and then we have to pull up enough to actually be able to staple it to the film coming out of the printer. So we move our sliders over. Let me make sure the view on that's good. Okay, so we have our film. Just put the sliders over. We got two sliders, just move them aside so we can work with the film coming out of the printer a little bit. And then you're going to pull up the film coming out of the shaker. The film coming out of the printer goes over the film coming out of the shaker. And then what I do here is I'm leaving myself, I'm putting this over and overlapping it enough to be able to staple, and of course we're going to tape it. Okay, so we go over it. Just kind of want you guys to get a closer look. And now you can see my overlap. I'm just leaving enough to be able to put staples in on each side. Okay, so once you have it positioned, I'm going to grab just one piece of tape. And you want to get that on there so it doesn't move. Just put that one piece on. And now it's nice and straight on each side. So now it's going to come down nice and straight. I'm going to put the rest of my tape and put a staple on each side of this to ensure that it holds it. Okay, so I've got two more pieces of tape. Just gonna run those across, one on each side. Make sure the tape is nice and down and flat so it doesn't get caught up inside the oven. And then we're going to staple each side. I like to put 2 staples just to ensure that it stays. 2 staples in. Okay, and once you're connected and you have your staples in, you can put the sides back on. Now, if you connect, sometimes you'll connect a little bit up and you can't get the sides on. So what you can do is just, when you turn the printer on, move it forward a bit and then put your sliders on. But just ensure that the sliders are in place before you start printing or doing a nozzle check. So just after you connect it, I come down here and I pull a little bit more film from the back and I kind of allow it to drop where the powder is going to go. So that way we have a little bit of leeway for some powder. So I'll just put the film down a little bit so when I pour the powder in, it'll go on top of the film here. And then of course, we put the remainder in here to allow it to rain onto it as it prints. Okay, so once you're connected and you've got that pushed down a little bit to get the powder in, we're almost ready to turn the machine on. So we're going to come to the back now of the machine. Just make sure that we have an adequate amount of film. We check our levels, so we can check our levels from the front of this actually. Just pop this down for a sec. So you can check all the levels of your ink. Plus you have your level indicators, of course, but just make sure there's an adequate level in there. And then at the end of the day, we tighten these, so we're going to loosen them just a little bit, just to allow a little bit of airflow in there, so it runs through the lines nice. Okay. I always just have a look back here, make sure everything's okay, nothing's spilling or dripping. All my valves are open, everything looks good, nothing looks unusual. So I'm ready to turn the machine on now. Now we are ready to turn on the power for the printer. So we come over here, ensure the power switch is switched to on. And then if it still doesn't come on, that means our emergency stop button was pushed, so just flick that on. Ensure your feeding system comes on. And now we can open this up. Okay, now that it's initialized, we're going to do a couple of cleanings and then a nozzle check. But before we do that, I like to ensure that my film is flowing through nice and smooth. And plus, if you had to attach this up a little bit further or something, you really want to make sure everything's nice and straight and nothing's getting caught up on each side. So what I do to do that is I go from remote to local. Then I push down a little bit, so I'm pushing down. Just allow a little bit out, you don't want to waste too much. Just make sure that it's ready to flow down nicely here. And each side of your sliders is over your film. And then you're going to come over to your controls and we're going to turn up our vacuum to hold down the film. And then you're going to press on this once for the front heat. We're going to set that up to 50. And then we're going to go down. We're going to set the rear up to 50 as well, just to ensure our heat's on as well. So now we've got the heat on, we've got our vacuum on. And after you get your heat up and your vacuum on, you turn your LED light on. So your light can go on. So turn your light on for the day. Now you're all lit up. We have the film ready to roll through. We're gonna do a couple of cleanings. We're gonna add our powder and then we're ready to print. Okay, so we're all fired up. Now we're gonna go onto our computer and we're gonna open up Print XP. Oops, there we go. We are going to connect, so ensure that you are connected, which you more than likely will be. I'm just not because I haven't plugged it in yet to my laptop, but just ensure that you are connected, of course, to the computer. So the connection from the computer to the printer is good. Got the light indicating and flashing, so we're all good there. And now if you plug in or you open XP and it's still flashing, that means that you just have to switch it over from local to remote. So you just hit end and then hit function 3 and it will switch over, and now that light will turn green, and now we have access to the computer and we can control the printer from the computer. So first thing we're going to do is in the morning is just start our cleanings. So make sure that head 1 and head 2 are check marked and click OK. Now it's going to go through and do its cleaning, and then we'll do a nozzle check and see if we're good to print for the day. Okay, so I've done 2 cleanings. I'm going to go over to my settings. Just make sure that my X margin is at 0. And then I'm going to do a check. As long as your nozzle check is good, you are good to print. If not, it may require 1 or 2 more cleanings. Okay, so in this case, we've got a little bit of a break in magenta and a little bit of a break in black. So we're going to do 1 more cleaning. We'll just clear that up. Okay, so I've done a strong clean, 2 weak cleans. Just going to move it ahead a little bit. There's our old readout. And we're going to do a check. Make sure we're on 0. Check. Okay, so it's cleaning up now. We've got a clearer read than that. A little bit of breaks, but we're just going to do a cleaning and we should be good to go. So if it just has the odd break in it and they're breaking up in different spots, that's fine. You can just do what I normally do is I'll just do 1 last cleaning before I start printing. But once you get your nozzle check looking good in the morning and good enough to print, then you're good to print. So that's it. I've done the cleanings. Got a good enough nozzle check now. I'll do 1 more. I just did a cleaning here. Let's just move that ahead. Flip off 1 more check. I just did a cleaning after that. Magenta's completely fine. So just a couple of breaks in black. I'm just going to clean those up now. That should be good. Okay, so once your nozzle check is good to go, then we're ready to put the powder into here and get ready to start printing. Okay, we got a good nozzle check, and now we're just going to put some powder in here to get us started for when we're ready to start printing. So I'm going to put a little powder inside here, and then I'm going to put powder inside here as well, and that'll allow it to rain on it. Clean that up, put that in, and that's it. Okay, so that's your morning routine, and now you are good to print. You're all set up. So start printing, allow a few prints to go through, then you fire up your shaker. We have our filter in here. So this is like a side door. So this is like a key. So you're turning it unlocks it. And then to open it, you've got to lift up a little bit and pull back. Because if you just try to open it, it's not going to open. You need it has a little bit of a lift to it to get it into the lock. Just a little hair. So once you get this open, this is where, of course, you'll change your filters when the time comes. Change the filter in behind here. This is the exhaust that comes out. So it kind of comes, all filters through here. So that's your filter in behind there. Now when we're closing this door, we can't just close it straight because you'll hit the exhaust coming out. So what we want to do is we want to lift it a little bit, lift it. And like as I'm lifting, it's just a small lift just to get it past. All we're doing is lifting it a little bit over that roller, and then we can lock it back up. And that is our door for our filter. Now, if we're changing bulbs or anything, or if you have to get inside the machine, you cannot just lift this. You have to open this door. So this door has to be open, and then you can lift this up. And make sure when you're lifting it, it's lifted up all the way. So you got to kind of pull it up a little bit for it to stay. And then same thing when you're closing it, just get a good firm hold, don't let it drop. Set it down gently, come to your door, lift up a little bit, get it in, and lock it. And that's if you have to get inside here for any maintenance purposes. When you do your cleanings at night, for the night cleaning of this, we'll do that. We'll do night maintenance on your shaker. But yeah, so if you have to get in here for any reason, that's how you do it. Now we're going to come along to the side, and we have a little door here. So now we're going to go to the side, and we have a little drawer here. And this is where all of your excess powder collects. So of course you would take it from here and pour it into here. So this is where, so may as well go over this now. This is where you pour your powder into, and it rains or shakes into, or dusts, we'll call it. It dusts onto the film as it goes through. And then of course, anything falling will go into here, and then we just recycle it back into here. And I'll do that now. Okay, so we're gonna pull this drawer out and empty it into there. So I'm just pulling the drawer straight out. Lift it up carefully. Come across. Not sure if you can see me doing that. I'm holding it straight so I'm not spilling it, of course. And then you could bring it over and pour slowly back into the powder reservoir to recycle. Then you put this drawer back in the bottom to collect more. Okay, let's get to the control panel now. So we have our emergency stop just in case something's happening. Then you can just hit stop and it will not wreck the machine. And this button here, the green button, is our power button. So if we press that, now if you press it and it doesn't come on, that means your emergency stop button is pushed down. So if I push that down, it won't come on. But it does go down and up. So up is off, of course. If I flick this, it won't come on. And now that this is flicked up, so to engage it, down, disengage, twist. And then I can push down on this now, and we'll have power. We'll let this fire up and we'll go through the controls. Okay, so right now I'm in manual mode. This is the heat temperature, the pre-temp, and then your powder. So this is your heat temperature, your pre-temp, and we don't worry about the powder. So let's go through all these functions here. So dusting is inside here. This is your duster. So if I turn that on, it'll start to put powder and start dusting it onto the film. So if I hit dusting, now it starts dusting onto the film. Shaker, that is this little flap here that hits the powder off. So if I hit that, shaker, that's my shaking right there. My feeder is this. So that's a feeder, and all these holes are vacuum. And that's gonna kind of hold the film down and suck it through at the same time the back roller's pulling it. Your roll is at the back, and your fan, of course, is everything, all of your vacuum and everything on. Down here are your heat controls, so you can put your preheat on, which is here, and then your actual oven. The oven itself is the heat button. So we hit that, and now it's starting to heat up, and the elements inside are heating up. We don't need that on right now. Okay, then we have the settings button. So in here is your dusting strength. So how fast it dusts. Of course, the lower the number, the slower it goes. The higher the number, the faster it dusts. Your shaking strength is how fast that this blade spins to bang off the powder. Your feed speed is how fast it's going through. Your roll interval is back here. And you guys won't have to worry about the roll interval so much. You won't even really have to worry about any of this. If you wanted to change, let's say the temperature. So there's the temperature there. It's set to 120 right now. If we wanted to change that, we would just go in here, change that value. I'll put it to 130, hit enter. Now it's changed to 130, so the temp will go to 130. I'm gonna put that back to 120 where it was. And you can do the same with your pre-temperature as well. Wind strength is basically the suck strength of this here, of your vacuum. Now your roll sensor and stuff, you guys won't have to worry about the feed and the sensor. We set all that here, but basically the roll sensor value is basically just this bar here is on a sensor. It's sensitive. And as you can see, as I'm moving it, the values are changing. So basically what this means is where I want it to come up and where I want it to go down. So how much powder do I want in there, and then when do I want it to start coming up? So that's basically what your feed sensor is and your roll sensor. Or that's your feed sensor, sorry. This is your feed sensor, and then your roll sensor value is back here. And that's what this bar is. So you can tell it when to actually start to take the feed. But these settings are all set in place. The only ones you really will go on here for is if you want your duster to go a bit quicker, so your dust. If you want to change the strength of how much it's hitting it off. And then of course, your heat temperature if you ever have to change it. As for these other settings, you don't really have to play with those values. They're all set to pretty much where they should be. So yeah, so that is what's in settings. Now we can go back home. This button here tells me about my sensors. Okay, so like if I was to, let's say, my film in and my bee powder right there. So if I push down on this, that value, it's gonna light up and let me know exactly when the film's in. See, I push down. Now it's back up, I push down, and it comes back on. So that's telling me when the film's actually going in and then gonna come back up to actually push and pull that back. But again, these are settings you guys won't have to really worry about right now. Okay, and let's just go to the front of the machine now. And of course, that's where your power comes out to plug in. And then that is your sensor. This here is your sensor. So as this goes down, once it reads the film is to this point, it'll start to feed it through slowly. As it's coming down, it's hitting the sensor, telling it to start sucking it through, and then it takes it through all the way to the end. Okay, I've added a bit of slack here. I'm gonna just put this into local and gonna move the film forward a bit. And I'm gonna turn, so this is manual mode. When you're printing and you're ready to start printing, all you have to do is hit auto and it turns everything on except for your heat. So when it starts to print and it gets ready, when it gets down to like here, then you can hit your heat on. And that will start to heat that up, so by the time your print gets through, it'll start to cure and it'll get to the temperature that it's supposed to be. Okay, and then when you're in auto, of course, let's just pretend that it's printing. I'm gonna push down. Okay, so now it's feeding the paper. Got it in auto. I'm gonna turn the heat off because we don't need it on. But let's just pretend that the heat's on. Okay, you got your print in. Now I'm gonna push down as if it's printing. So now as soon as it hits that sensor and the the sensor reads that the film's there, it'll start to slowly take this back and start to cure. So there it goes there. So it takes it back slowly and it starts to cure your prints. And then of course when you're done, you can just hit, when you're done printing and ready to connect it to put it through the rest of the way, you just hit auto. It'll bring it back to manual, and then you can connect it or do what you have to do. Or just to stop it or pause it, just hit the auto button and it'll pause everything. And then of course when you're ready to print your next job or whatever you're doing, just go in, hit auto again, start printing, it'll suck through. This is how to connect it and how to finish off for the day to get your last prints to that roll. Okay, so printer just stopped. It's finished printing, I'm done for the day. So now I want to feed the rest of these prints through the shaker to cure them. So first thing I'm going to do is take my dead roll. Now there's various ways to do this. I'm showing you the most basic way because sometimes we'll put rollers on the side or something to change this variable, but the premise is the same. You have to connect a dead roll to allow it to feed through to get your good prints to the other side. So I'm going to show you the most basic way. If for some reason rollers are put on this thing or something, the premise is the same. So I've got to change angles because I put it at the bottom here and then I use a magnet to hold this still while I work. So let me just show you that. Okay, so I'm going to come in behind the print. This is behind it. I could probably get away without a magnet and just kind of leave it like that. I just get a magnet so it doesn't move after I attach it. So I push out enough here to attach to. So I'll push out enough to attach to comfortably. You'll have a table here. I just have this thing on a skid right now. I'm gonna put a magnet down behind it to hold it in place so it's firm. Okay, if you want to use 2 magnets, feel free. Okay, and then from this point, got to cut the film and attach it. So before I cut it, I make sure I have my stapler and a piece of tape ready to go because I don't want to be holding it there. You want to be able to have easy access to the tape and not picking at it and stuff after you cut it. So get a couple of pieces ready for after you cut it. And then as soon as we cut it, we can put it down, line it up, and attach it. Okay. So once you've got it connected and stapled, we're ready to pull the magnets out and feed it the rest of the way through. So what we're going to do is hit from manual back to auto. Put our heat on because it always goes off. Take the magnets off. Put them back wherever you got them. And now you basically hold it and just pretend to be the printer and allow it to go through, and you're feeding it as it goes through until the end. We're basically just pretending to be the printer here. Basically just rolling it or moving it down as fast as the printer does. You don't want to be going down and hitting the floor. Just allow the sensor to do the work. All the speed is set to go through so it's not going to overcure or undercure. So just keep feeding it as if you're the printer until your last print gets to the end. Then we're going to cut it out, cut this off after it's out, and then just roll this back up for your next print. And then I just kind of put it wherever. You just put the dead roll wherever. Okay, so once you see it get to the end and you're at where you taped, you can stop the machine at this point. Now we're going to cut that. And then I'm going to show you how to take it up without making a mess, because you've got to pull this through and roll it back up, but it's got powder on it, so I'm going to show you what to do to roll that back up nice and neat. So before we pull it through, we want to get this powder out of here. So what I do is I'll bang on, just tap this. Sometimes a little powder collects on there, and I'll just bang it in. And then what I do is I'll take a little bit and I'll push back, so just push through so that you can get a catch here of some. So now I've got here, and now you can see, you can move this back and forth. Don't pull it up too much or you're gonna get powder in here. Just pull it up a little bit, and then just pull up on the other side, and just allow it to fall through. Fall through. All it's doing is just falling through to the bottom tray to collect it after. Give it a nice bang out there, and then push this back a little bit. Now, when we roll it up, no powder will be in there, and it should be fine. So let's do that now. So just take the magnet out from here, and again, just start rolling up. Whoops. Roll it up for the next time. So now just put that aside for the next time. You're printing at the end, and then you have your dead roll set aside, and then connect and do the same thing all over again next time. And then of course you have your finished roll here. You can either take off the whole roll and go unroll it. Some people do that. If you're gonna pull up from here, don't pull up fast because it'll slip like that. So if you're gonna do it this way and roll it up from here, you gotta do it very slow. So some people take the whole roll off and then they put this on another contraption and it just unrolls. So you can just nice and slow. Again, you pull up too fast and it's going to pull it right off. And then of course when you're done, or once you got to the print, so that's a job and that's another job, you can just kind of go from here, cut it off, roll it up, elastic, move on to the next job, nice and slow. Again, nice and slow. I normally roll backwards so prints out. Nice and slow. So on and so forth. Or take off, unroll the whole thing. I would suggest getting something that you can just kind of put on each side here, just something to catch it, and then it rolls easy. You know, make something up on your table or something. You can, like this tray is a little bit slower, that's all. Okay, so that's it. That's how the shaker works. That's how the functions work, and connecting and disconnecting your film for the 1380i S DTF printer.